Thanks for listening to Gossip with Celebrity, brought to you by Celebrity.com. This week, we talk about politics, the royals, the Sex and the City movie, and Olivia Wilde. Our user feedback is about how awesome we are, and we end with our weekly feature, the comments of the week. The stories, photos, and tweets we talk about can be found at celebrity.com/podcast under episode 79. Hi, I'm Katie, the founder and editor of Celebrity.com, and I write as Celebrity.
And I'm Chandra, I'm the head writer for Celebrity, and I write as Kaiser.
So, my big news this week, so dumb. I got a bird feeder. It's like a regular bird feeder. We talked last year when my banner news was that I got a hummingbird feeder, and now I'm feeding like the regular birds.
Like, I would love to have a bird feeder, but my neighbors have a bunch, and like, they bring so many birds to like our properties, and I'm like, no, yeah. I don't want any more. I'm fine with the birds that are there now, and like sometimes I'll throw out bread for them or something like that. But like, they always poop in my car, and I just don't want them.
My car is in the garage. I changed my office around so I can look out the window, and so the birds can poop on the front lawn right in front of my window, and it doesn't bother me at all because it doesn't get on my stuff. Like, I wouldn't feed them on my porch because they would poop on the porch.
Yeah.
But that's where I feed the hummingbirds. And it's fun to watch them. And so far, it's just been, like, cardinals are the biggest birds I get and little finches.
Like, over the past few months, I've read, like, 3 different Twitter threads about people deciding out of nowhere to start feeding crows. Because crows are supposed to be so intelligent.
Yeah.
Like, if you become friends with a crow, like, the crow loves you for life. And, like, will bring you presents.
And if you make enemies,
yeah.
they'll, like, tell their offspring. I saw this Nature on that, and they'll tell their offspring and their children's children to hate you if you're a bad person and you hurt them ever. They're so smart. I just try to stay neutral around crows. I saw some Reddit thread where somebody decided to get the crows on each side of the road like fighting, and I don't know, it was so dumb. They like fed them on one side and were mean to them on the other side.
I saw that too. It was like they were trying to do like a murder war. The group of crows is a murder, murder war.
Yeah.
And just to see what would happen. Basically, it was like this huge crow beef in like the neighborhood.
I used to have a t-shirt that said murder and it had crows on it. It was so dumb. I think I was so smart and nerdy. But my parents collect crow things. And they have like crow pictures, crow figures. Seriously, because my dad's really into birds. Yeah, so they had a lot of crow stuff. And when they moved to Florida, they gave me some of it. So I have prints of crows. I didn't hang them all up, just 1 or 2 in the room where they're going to stay. But, so we'll be on next week. We're going to have another episode next week, and then we're taking a week off because I'm lazy. We'll be on January 24th, and we're taking off the 31st of this month.
Yeah, and so the 24th will be our first podcast during the Biden administration.
Oh, that's how we're going to measure time now. I like that. Whether pre-Biden and after Biden.
Well, I mean, aren't you judging time that way? I am.
Yeah, I just put it in the email today. I was like, 6 more days. The daily email with our stories. So your mom is going to get vaccinated soon? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what her assisted living facility told her, that they were getting the vaccines this week. I hope that it happens this week. I'm not sure it will, but I think it'll happen soon.
I know people who are getting the vaccine, just like nurses and doctors who I know mostly through social media, and that's exciting.
Yeah, it is really exciting.
My mom got it, but she had to wait 5 hours in her car, and she was texting me, and it was stressing me out. I was like, Mom, she's like, I'm just sitting here. They put little flyers on their cars to show that they could still get in, so they weren't like waiting for nothing.
I like that the CDC has started broadening who can get the vaccine. I think that's smart because the rollout is so screwed up The CDC said just try to get it out as soon as possible, basically like that. Just get it out to all the old people.
Yeah, that's awesome. My mom's 74, so I was worried that my dad would be able to get it because he's 75 and she doesn't turn for another couple months. But it's 65 and older in Florida. But you really have to wait in line, or you have to get online like the second they open it up, because my mom woke up early trying to register online and she couldn't do that. So she just waited in line.
Well, I'm hoping that during the Biden administration and like hopefully they'll, tighten up a lot of this rollout and they'll just make it a lot better. And, hopefully they'll have made more vaccines by like February and March. And I feel like by the time that it comes to us, we shouldn't have to be waiting in 5-hour lines. Like, I feel like we should be able to make an appointment and just go in real quick, get it done.
They're showing in our local paper that they're having vaccinations at larger sites. First, it was the doctors, and now it's like the EMS workers are getting vaccinated. I think teachers and stuff are next. My son's friend gets to get it because he works at Kroger, which is one of our grocery stores in this area. And my son was like, I'm going to get a job at Kroger for like a week and quit so I could get vaccinated. I'm like, just wait. But I'm still holding out hope that we'll be able to get vaccinated by mid-March. That's what I'm telling myself so I don't freak out anymore, because I'm getting angry going out and seeing people without masks. And I'm like, 2 months, you could get through this.
Yeah.
You could do it,
Yeah, I agree. I think that but mid-March is a good goal.
Yeah, that's doable, especially with Biden's team, and they're just releasing all the vaccines and they're going to do their best. So speaking of politics, Trump got impeached again, which is inevitable.
Yeah. He only got impeached for the second time for incitement of a terrorist attack, for incitement of insurrection. Just days before he incited an insurrection, he committed blatant election fraud in Georgia.
Yeah. Well, all over, he's been trying to rat fuck the election in every state where black people voted.
Right,
for Biden.
But that was like specifically just before the Georgia Senate races. Like,
when his tape came out. Yeah,
the Washington Post got that tape of him talking to the Georgia Secretary of State. That was just like 3 days before he incited the insurrection. I mean, just because he only got impeached a second time for inciting an insurrection doesn't mean that he hasn't done a slew of impeachable offenses the entire 4 years.
He definitely has. I hope that he'll be prosecuted for some of his crimes. And so the Senate still needs to vote, and flip-flopping fish Mitch McConnell. That's what Ameerah called him. I'm taking that from her.
Well,
first he said he was going to support impeachment, and now he's like, we're not going to vote till the 19th. So we're not coming back.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Senate adjourned until the 19th anyway, and he and Chuck Schumer need to work out how the trial is going to happen. It is complicated, like the Senate trial aspect of it. So
yeah,
I'm not like caping for Mitch McConnell. I think he's a fucking asshole, and he's a huge reason why we're in this mess. But I don't think he's totally wrong for putting it off.
Because it's going to be a big rigmarole that they're going to have to go through. Right.
Oh, and they keep talking about this, that Schumer and McConnell, if they agree to it, they can make it so that after the Senate trial, the Senate will have to do a vote. And if they get a 2/3 majority, then, all this bad shit will happen to Trump. But they can arrange it so that the vote in the Senate is, what do I want to say? Like, they don't have to put their name.
Private?
Yeah, they don't have to put their names to it.
Yeah, with a simple majority, I think they can make it private. Then they don't have to put their names to it. So they don't have to worry that the MAGAs are going to hunt them down and kill them in their beds.
Right.
I'm sorry for the way I phrased that, but that's what I was hearing last night on MSNBC. Republicans were afraid to say that they agreed with the legal vote because they're afraid of getting targeted by MAGAs.
Right. But have you noticed that, like, the whole, we're so worried about being targeted by Trump thing has really dissipated since his Twitter account got suspended? Like, I'm sure the MAGA army is still keeping tabs on all of the Republicans, and, like, I'm sure they're totally being harassed and all that. But the level of harassment, the level of, like, everyday fear of Trump has gone way down since the Twitter account was.
Because they can't organize.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Trump has just been inciting his people for 4 years.
It's stochastic terrorism is what it is. He's telling people to commit terror for him against his enemies. And he needs to be in prison. It's just been way too long. He's been getting away with this. But at least Twitter finally stood up against him. Facebook took him off. Facebook still has his account up, but he can't post to it. And he got banned from YouTube for like a whole week, which tells you how much YouTube gives a shit.
Well, I mean, like Twitter and YouTube, they still have like the White House accounts up. And so I think he's posting through that, not through like his personal YouTube channel.
But they're watching the crap out of him
for sure.
on those accounts. And he's like, don't do terror anymore.
Right after Trump's account got banned or suspended, he tried to rage tweet on the White House account, and that shit got taken down in 2 seconds. It was amazing.
Immediately. They were watching
it. It was whack-a-mole. It was amazing.
Whack-a-mole. One thing they can do, which would be pretty cool, is they can have a simple majority in the Senate, and that will bar Trump from ever running for office again, which would also cut off a lot, not all, of his bullshit fundraising, which he's been probably using for his personal uses and his kids' personal uses.
Well, I think that, it would bar him from running again, but he could still run a PAC. Like, election campaign funds are so fucked up that he could still funnel all kinds of money into his PAC, which is what he's been doing throughout the entire 2020 election cycle. You know, he's scammed hundreds of millions of dollars into his PAC.
He needs money to pay off all his debts that are coming due. They're calling him in. So we talked about the impeachment in Zoom. We were talking about it early in our meeting. And then like almost an hour later, we found out that it happened. So here's the section where we're talking about it. And then I splice in like later. We're like, the impeachment happened. Aha. So here that is.
He planned to launch his 2024 campaign the day of the inauguration. So for him to not be able to run at all, it would be fantastic. He would become a non-motherfucking factor.
And plus, Mayor de Blasio announced that they were severing contracts with the Trump organization. And plus, he's broke. He is in debt with Deutsche Bank. So, I mean,
which he personally guaranteed those loans. So he's definitely.
Yeah. I have on MSNBC, and he was impeached for the second time.
So that's it? It's done?
No, he has to be convicted. It has to actually be approved by the Senate. We've crossed the first threshold.
Okay.
Now we've got to cross the final threshold, which isn't going to happen till after the 19th.
Yeah, all of that, all of what Karen was saying is especially important because Deutsche Bank, the loans are coming up. You know, he has to pay that shit back, and he can't just loot his PAC to pay back Deutsche Bank. Plus, I just don't think he has enough money in his PAC to pay back Deutsche Bank.
He owes $340 million. How do you owe $340 million?
And he's losing money hand over fist. No one wants the Trump brand anymore, the business brand.
Oh, yeah.
People are canceling contracts right and left. No one even wants to donate money to the Republican Party anymore because it's the party of Trump.
The Republicans are fucked. Oh, and all the brands are realizing that it's toxic to be associated with these Republicans who are committing treason and murder. And they're just backing off and saying, well, we're never going to give money. And it's awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, I doubt that it'll stay that way, but it's a good story right now. And we're getting the benefit of like all of these private companies like friggin' Hallmark saying, actually, we're against fascism. Like they're issuing public statements saying, we believe in democracy. We believe in the rule of law.
Hallmark. So we're also hearing that some of the Republican Congress people gave material aid to the terrorists. And it's quote unquote anecdotal because it's other Congress people saying it, but there's a lot of evidence that this happened.
Right. Even with the impeachment vote passing in the House, there are still going to be massive investigations in both the House and Senate. And that's running concurrently with FBI investigations, what I would assume would be an internal Capitol Police investigation. I'm sure the like DC mayor is going to want some kind of like profound audit of what happened in her city. There's just a lot of people are going to have a lot of other people crawling up their asses, and it's going to be good to get all of this shit on the record, because anecdotally from what we're hearing, it's scary as hell. It's chilling. The level of preparedness.
Some of the Republicans are said to have given terrorists tours the day before the siege of the Capitol. The panic buttons were ripped out of Representative Ayanna Pressley's office. People knew where Representative Clyburn's office was, even though it's not labeled.
Right. And same with Pelosi's private offices.
Yes.
They knew right where to go.
And they didn't have zip ties. They had tactical ways to tie people up. They were planning on taking hostages.
Right. And there's also evidence to suggest that some of the terrorists were expecting to take hostages and barricade themselves in the Capitol overnight.
Well, now we have 20,000 National Guardsmen in the Capitol.
Oh, before we go to that, can I just say, I'm still fucking pissed off. Still, right now, I'm seething that they didn't arrest all those motherfuckers on January 6th. Why they were allowed to go home, try to get on flights, get in their trucks and drive home. Why the fuck were they allowed to do that? The FBI...
Well, a bunch of them were on the no-fly list, and that was kind of fun to watch. But that's just because the flight attendants union did that.
Right.
I mean, it's...
We shouldn't need the flight attendants union to be the stopgap for all of these terrorists going home. They should have been arrested on the day. I don't understand why they weren't. I still don't.
Because it was an inside job. Yeah. They made sure that there were less people. Trump delayed the National Guard. We talked about this last week. They had to call Pence. I mean, it was an inside job. That's why they didn't arrest anybody, because they didn't plan on arresting anybody. They wanted to take over. They planned on taking over the government. Yeah, I'm liking all these terrorists crying and screaming and moaning that they can't fly, and I hope they're doing it from prison.
Yeah. And so now 20,000 National Guardsmen are camped out in the Capitol, and the photos are incredible. They're stunning.
They're heartwarming. Yeah, you can see so many people and the reverence for the place they're in and the fact that they're protecting our Congress people.
Yeah, and so many of the National Guardsmen are just so young, and it's their first time ever in Washington. It's their first time in the Capitol, and they love it. They think it's a beautiful building. They want to look at all the statues and all the artwork. And that's really cool. All of the stories are very heartwarming. The Congress people bringing them pizzas and showing them around, giving them tours. I love all that.
That was a sweet story that you covered. I liked how they were asking if they could get to the gift shop, get stuff for people back home. Is the gift shop gonna open?
I mean, I teared up when I saw the black soldiers posing for photos in front of the Rosa Parks statue. It was just beautiful.
It got me too.
And the kids sleeping in front of Martin Luther King's bust.
That's patriotism. That's what we can get behind.
Yeah.
And that's America.
And the images of Nancy Pelosi addressing the National Guardsmen and thanking them for their service and handing out her challenge coins. That's presidential. I've always been impressed by Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi's a fucking badass. But
she is.
Everything about how she has handled the Capitol siege and doing the impeachment vote and the way that she was on the phone with the Joint Chiefs and she was telling them what they had to do to please her and demanding resignations from the Capitol Police and the sergeants at arms. She's just been entirely impressive, entirely presidential. I just love her.
She's done it for so long. She knows what she's doing. She knows who to talk to. She knows what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. And Trump sent people to kill her.
He did. He sent people to kill Pence, too. That's
all right.
I mean, he shouldn't be going free right now. Even if it's cushy, he should be under armed guard by people who are guarding him to keep him from going anywhere.
Well, I do think that he's been put on a leash.
Oh, like, yeah.
That was one of the conditions that Pelosi had before she went fucking ballistic. She must have ripped them a new one. And you notice, like, no one in Congress is really saying anymore, like, you know, what if he launches a bomb, blah, blah, blah. I think Pelosi just had that fucking handled.
She did. She spoke with people in charge of that. I was reading about that. I don't know all the details right now, but yeah.
Yeah, we're not meant to, because she just fucking handled it. And she did it quietly, and she did it efficiently.
Yeah.
And that's not the way that the presidency should work, but Trump is not the way the presidency should work either. Like, I think that she's just doing the best she can in this fucking horrible situation. And she's one of the very few people who's, like, standing between a lunatic who would gladly kill hundreds of millions of people.
It's already killed hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, let's move on to the royals.
What a bad segue. Oh.
This is a good one. You could call it a good one. I mean, we're talking about the Royal Train Tour.
All right.
Yeah, they didn't tell people where they were going to be. So it wasn't so much of a super spreader tour. So the Royal Train Tour was like at the beginning of December. The Cambridges were touting it as their own idea. They traveled during a pandemic without masks just to grace the public with their presence and thank the first responders. Okay. We heard no stories of first responders. We've covered all this.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so
you tell this story.
The new developments this week were first the Scotsman, basically, I don't know what it's called in the UK, but it's Freedom of Information Act here. So they FOIA'd some information about communications between the palace and government officials. And they found that 2 civil servants in Scotland had very explicitly warned the Cambridges to postpone this asinine little tour. It was not like hidden language. They weren't speaking in metaphors. They were saying, you need to postpone this. This is a really bad idea. Yeah. And we don't know how the palace reacted. They didn't get their hands on those emails. Kensington Palace did release a statement after the Scotsman published their report saying the Duke and Duchess were traveling for work purposes. Bullshit. And all rules were fully adhered to. The trip was planned in consultation with the UK, Scottish, and Welsh governments, which is the same thing they said during the trip when they were being criticized. So they're just holding to that position, and they're acting like they weren't specifically warned away.
They're acting like just like they did with Tatler for this. Yeah. They respond.
The Tatler thing was so crazy. God, that was one of my favorite stories last year.
It was awesome. This one is very similar to that. I mean, they just keep showing their asses no matter what they do. So I did not want to talk about it, but I don't care too much about the Sex and the City remake. But we were in Zoom this week. The women brought it up, and it was hilarious the way they went off on it. So I wanted to talk about that and play that.
Okay.
That section. So there's going to be that Sex and the City limited series. It's going to be 10 episodes on HBO Max. And it's only going to have, you know, Cynthia Nixon,
Kristen Davis,
Sarah Jessica Parker. Yeah. And Sarah Jessica and Kristen Davis.
Yeah, and no Kim Cattrall, because Kim Cattrall said years ago that she doesn't want to come back to the character.
Yeah, because Sarah Jessica Parker treated her like crap and wrote terrible storylines for her, and she didn't want to deal anymore. So here's that clip from Zoom, and this is Michelle, Ameerah, Tanisha, and Karen.
Who gives a fuck about the Sex and the City remake? Like, I don't. Maybe some people are big fans. I don't mean to say it like that, but
people. We have moved on from that show. Like, that show, I used to watch it, and when you look back at it, it's problematic as fuck, first of all.
It's so bad.
It's so outdated. And it's going to not have the whole cast. They should have stopped at the first film and then went on and Merry Little Way. But they made that terrible second film, which was racist and problematic as all get out and wasn't even good. Like, on top of being all those things, it was just crap. That should have been the clue.
Samantha made the show. I'm sorry.
Well, and also, wasn't there like the script for the third movie leaked and it had like Samantha supposedly grooming like Miranda's teenage son, or
yes, they had her sleeping with Miranda's son, like, and they expected her to come back to that. They expect her to be like, cool, because keep in mind, ever since SJP became an executive producer, you remember when those last few seasons when Samantha just went off the rails? That was when SJP became an executive producer, and that's when they started writing all these crazy things, and that's when Kim Cattrall was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
And Kim Cattrall already had a successful career outside of Sex and City. She doesn't need that show like those three do.
Specifically SJP, because apparently she can't think of anything else to do with herself.
Apparently not.
I was a Sex and the City fan. Like, I've seen every episode. I saw both the movies. The movies are fucking terrible. The show was good for the time. It was good television for that era. And it changed a lot of conversations around sex, and it changed a lot of conversations about women in television as well. Yeah, but like, I don't think that Samantha made the show. I think she was a fun character. I think it was always about the four women together, and then when Sarah Jessica became executive producer of the show, she made it so Carrie-centric, and that always bugged me about the later seasons. I mean, yeah, the revival is going to be a shit show, but it's not going to be a shit show specifically because Kim isn't there. And I'm actually very curious to see how they do write off the Sam Jones character. So I don't know. I'll probably watch it, but I won't enjoy it. Does that make any sense?
You hate watch it.
Not even hate watch it, just kind of curiosity watch it and not like it.
I've watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes total. I was living near New York City around that time, and it didn't resonate with me, and I thought that they were superficial assholes, which I guess everybody thought that they were, and I couldn't really deal with it, so I didn't watch much of it. But I saw the first movie. I was like, oh, this is okay.
Oh, God, the first movie was terrible. Oh.
Well, it's like okay for what it was. But I didn't see the second one that everyone says was racist and even worse.
No, it was really bad. It was really bad. They go to the Middle East. Oh, it's so offensive.
Gosh. Now I want to watch it just to see how bad it is.
It was only made 10 years ago, too. And like they thought it was okay. It was so bad.
And they're throwing more money at him, but
I don't get the conversations about the money. Each woman is getting paid $1 million per episode, so that's $10 million to come back and do a revival, a 10-episode revival. I think that's completely fair.
It is, because that's what people get paid in big blockbuster TV shows now. I don't know if that particular TV show warrants that, but I'm glad women are getting paid that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if HBO Max wants to throw that money at them, go ahead. Like, I'm not offended by it. I'm not at all.
And we're talking about it. They'll make money. People will watch it. Even though we say we hate it, people are still going to watch it.
Right. These are arguably the most beloved characters these actresses are ever going to play. People are going to be curious to see them come back. It will be a huge interest generator for HBO Max. I think $10 million for a 10-episode run is completely fair.
Okay. I think you're right. So we got a dumb cheating split story. It's been happening for a while. We just haven't talked about it. Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles have come out as a couple. She's 36, he's 26. And they met on the set of her film that she's directing and co-starring in called Don't Worry, Darling. And when she was working with Harry Styles, she announced her split with Jason Sudeikis, and they have 2 kids together. And they've been engaged for like 8 years, and they never got married. Well, now there's all these stories coming out, even in People, which means they come from the official side, saying that Jason didn't know that Olivia broke up with him for Harry, and that he's kind of hurt by how quick she moved on. He thought they were going to reconcile, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and like people are like crazily involved with this story. And I find everyone, Harry, Jason, and Olivia, really bland. So I'm like, why are these people inspiring so much passion? Why are people like Team Wild? No, Team Sudeikis. They are not worth it. Trust me.
No, they are not. Harry's kind of cool because he is a
he's a cool
gender bending dresser.
Yeah, pop star.
Cool.
He makes nice music. I'm a fan. I really am a fan of Harry Styles. I'm less of a fan now that he's banging Olivia Wilde, but whatever.
She bugs. I've seen interviews with her and I'm like, oh, she's an ass.
Yeah, she really is. I haven't liked her for many years. Jason Sudeikis has always just been kind of there for me. I loved him in Ted Lasso, but...
Yeah, he's an SNL bro.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good in Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Jason Sudeikis is great in it. And I don't get what either one of them are really doing. Like, they keep on releasing these competing leaks and quotes. Like,
I'm sorry, I didn't like her Book Smart movie. The characters talk too fast. I didn't understand what the fuck they were saying. I didn't like that movie.
It was a very white movie to be made so recently.
That's true.
About a high school experience, and you're making that white ass movie.
I went to the $3 theater to see it, and I walked out. I was like, I don't like this. I'm leaving. My time is worth more than this shit.
Well, I don't like Beanie Feldstein all that much, but I love the other little girl, the Caitlin Deaver. She's so talented.
Yeah, she was cute in it. All right.
That's how boring Olivia Wilde is, that we start talking about her movie and the actresses who
right? Oh, I like that actress. Oh, who gives a shit about Olivia Wilde? All right, let's move on to the user feedback. So, Esmom commented on our post last week. That was episode 78, was last week. She wrote, I listened yesterday while out on a big walk, and thank you for yet another episode of me grinning like a fool. And thank you for affirming my taking a pass on the Bridgerton train. I didn't make it past the first episode purely because I couldn't buy that Daphne could be that alluring to the Duke, with or without those heinous baby bangs. Right? I didn't get her appeal at all.
Yeah, she was pretty for a British girl.
Right? Yeah, everyone was laughing. Tanisha was laughing at your mom saying that. She's a small girl with bangs. That's what you said last week. So I put that yoga pic of Hilaria Baldwin yoga, in quotes, on her stove with her head backwards in the frying pan on the head of the podcast post because I knew more people would read it and comment on it because nobody has really seen that picture yet because she was so thirsty. People were ignoring the ridiculous shit she did. There's also pictures of her on the street in New York City with her hands on the pavement and her head doing handstands up against mailboxes and just dumb
She's
shit.
done that for years. Oh, it's so thirsty.
Ugh, she really is. So M wrote on that post, I don't know what I expected the yoga pic to look like after listening to the podcast yesterday, but this surpassed anything I imagined.
I mean, yeah, the photo was really something.
She is something.
Yeah.
Everyone loved how you wrote that it was Trump's dose impeachment, according to Hilaria Baldwin.
I've been throwing in my high school Spanish here and there in different posts. I'll just say something in Spanish will be as Hilaria would say.
Oh my gosh.
I've done that a few times, so I'm going to keep doing it because people seem to enjoy it.
It's funny. Keep doing that. Oh, and okay, so you had one of the best titles today. I'm going to go look at it again. What was your title?
Oh, it was about the angry,
Angry fart tour. Donald Trump isn't going to pay Rudy Giuliani for the angry fart tour, and you made angry fart tour all in caps. I mean, just the first letters of it. You didn't Kanye cap it. That was really funny. I like that. People also remember when you wrote for Pence under his pink eye because he had pink eye at the debate.
Yeah, those are those are good headlines. There was one that I wrote earlier this week. I'm trying to find it now.
What was it about?
It was about Donald Trump. It was about Mike Pence and Donald Trump calling him a pussy. Where is
Donald Trump?
Oh, Donald Trump.
I got it.
Yeah, Donald Trump called Mike Pence a pussy before Trump sent a mob to murder Pence. And that was
it's just very matter of fact. And we have to fit our headlines into 2 lines in our format, and you got it.
Yeah, I got it, and I was like, well, yep, that's exactly what happened. That's the order of things. He called Mike Pence a pussy, and then he sent a mob to kill Mike Pence.
Yep.
right, our comments of the week?
Yeah, let's see comments of the week. So my comment of the week is on the post about Ivanka going back to New York so she could get her hair done. Oh, I got to ask you this. Did you see the story about how Secret Service detail
I'm going to write that up.
had to pay? I know. I just want to talk about, can we talk about it for a second? They had to pay over $100,000 to rent an apartment for them because Ivanka and Jared wouldn't let them take a shit in one of the 6 bathrooms in their house.
Yeah. And it's not like, Jared and Ivanka even own that place. They're just renting it. For God's sake. And they're too fucking fancy and they won't let Secret Service use their bathroom. What assholes.
They had to go over to the Obama's house where their Secret Service has a bathroom. But they pissed off the Obama Secret Service by leaving a mess in their bathroom. So they couldn't use it anymore. They went to Pence's bathroom. I mean... I hope we hear more stories about the bullshit these people did. Not that I'm happy that they got away with it, but... All right. Oh, so my comment of the week is... what am I even talking about? Ivanka went to New York to get her hair done. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that cost the taxpayers something. And Mary Cat wrote, come on, she can't go to jail without having her roots done first.
All right. I had 2 comments of the week. I had a lot, but I just narrowed it down to 2. So in the story about Donald Trump being impeached for a second time, Ang, A-N-G, she says, love that Pelosi wore the same #impeachment dress that she wore to Trump's last impeachment.
Yeah.
As Sam B said, if he didn't get impeached so much, she wouldn't need a special outfit for it. Ha ha ha.
Right?
And yeah, I love
that. Was badass.
It's just really badass that Pelosi wore the same dress to both impeachments. It's her impeachment dress.
Yes.
And on the post about the angry fart tour, Giuliani not getting paid for roaming around the country, ranting at Four Seasons Total Landscape. Lucy, too, wrote, sad fart noise. Giuliani is finally getting the full Trump experience. Lots of big talk, then everything turns to shit. Then you were thrown under the bus and screwed financially. He's done this his entire life. Yeah, and on and on. But yeah, I like sad fart noise.
I don't want to say fuck the police. Well, we can say that, but I have respect for the National Guard, so I don't want to say that this week.
Yeah, we don't have to say it this week. But good thoughts for the National Guard, and we hope everyone stays safe in all of the federal buildings and all the state capitals. We hope the MAGA army doesn't come for anybody. We hope that all those fuckers are arrested and...
Yeah, I want those people to be arrested too. All right, thanks for listening, bitches.
Thanks, bitches.
Thank you for listening to the Celebrity Podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. If you like us, please turn off your ad blocker when you visit our site. You can text us or leave a voicemail at 434-218-3219. Our music is from AA Alto, Maiden, and via Premium Beat and Sound of Picture. Thanks again.